it kind of opened my eyes a lot to that I'm really doing the bare minimum and really need to try harder with my faith.
I think when you start to find your actual purpose, then you realize that you can take a step back from what everyone else thinks you want to do.
How do I make others see that I'm an imperfect man, but I'm striving to be the best I can be?
If you are able to like find God's purpose for you on earth, that's just like the ultimate goal to happiness. At times where I've lost my purpose and it's just, you kind of just spiral into a deep hole for sure.
It's like, I've been smooth for so long, I'm trying to get rough. Fuck buffing my nails, dog, I'm trying to get buff. Fuck shaping my beard up, I'm liking the scruff. And fuck the hills, cause I'm living my life in the cut.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the ADHD Podcast. We're going to get right into it. I'm here with Miles Townsend and TJ Edmondson. They're going to give you a little background information, and we're going to get straight into it.
Yeah, so first, I'm going to talk about like our goals, our mindset for the podcast. We have 3 pillars: creativity. We're all creative in our own ways. I do like camera stuff, and then we're gonna talk about like business minded. Jonah's done a bunch of different like hard labor stuff, right?
Yeah.
Miles does stocks and all that stuff. I don't really understand it yet, but we're gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna talk about treating people the right way. So kind of how we know each other. We all went to Rosemont High School. Me and Miles graduated last year. Just finished our freshman year of college. Jonah is about to graduate here soon, hopefully. And yeah, pretty much we'll all give like a brief intro. Miles, you want to kind of kick it off about what you did this year and what you're planning on doing next year?
Yeah, so I started at St. Olaf College. I played football and track there. It just kind of didn't turn out the way I kind of wanted it. I think I just kind of chose the wrong decision from the get-go. I think like there was just a lot of problems like in the season. I was part of a losing team. I in my opinion, the coaching staff wasn't that good. So I think there's just got to be a lot of changes there. But that just kind of like made me lose my love for football. And after that, I just kind of lost myself a little bit because, I mean, if you guys know that like in high school, if you're especially an athlete trying to go to college, that's kind of like your identity pretty much. And so after I quit football, I kind of lost my identity for a little bit. So then I started getting back into my options trading, stuff like that, kind of just doing private trading, making money that way. Also, currently trying to get my skydiving license. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of right now. I think that's something I'm really passionate about. I think it can take me a long way. Just kind of doing like travel content. That's my goal, get my skydiving license, do some travel content, just do like sick stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll kind of kick it off. Same thing with me. I originally committed to St. Olaf with Miles like a month or 2 later because we both had a pretty good relationship with Coach Kubaki, who's now at St. Thomas, so good for him. I really rocked with him. But I ended up getting a scholarship offer from a D2 school called SMSU in Marshall, Minnesota. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. But I actually liked it. I played football freshman year. New coaches. I really like my own line coach. Me and Jonah are going to talk. Part of this, like, we'll also talk about is, like, weight room stuff, gym stuff. I got to college. I was 217 pounds, and quickly I became, like, 268, down to, like, 250 now. But I'll talk about that. But I also do camera stuff. I set this up. I've always done, like, sports videos. I did it for that school. And then I was kind of talking to a Gopher video guy, University of Minnesota, and he asked me what I was doing next year. I said, probably just rocking some D2 football in Marshall, living out the dream. And then he was like, if anything changes, let me know. I knew, same with Miles, like football was cool, but I don't know, I got hurt a lot, tore my knee my senior year, hamstring twice, freshman year. So I was like, I think I'm going to go do this camera stuff full time. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Yeah, now we got this going. Joni, you want to talk about your senior year so far? Almost state championship in football.
Yeah, being in the state championship was pretty cool. Obviously, like you guys were saying, football is a big part of my life, but it just wasn't like where I wanted to go with it. It wasn't like the next step that I thought God had for me, so kind of turned away from it. Next year, I'm planning on going to South Dakota State University, Roll Jackrabbits. I'm gonna be pursuing business economics with a minor in entrepreneurial studies. So, kind of hopefully one day starting my own business in like remodeling basements, bathrooms, stuff like that. So a little background on how I met these guys. Me and Miles kind of go way back. Since like being young, we always knew each other from church, and then in high school we got to be really close buddies, and then over camp we became like best friends, and then kind of from there it's just been like me and him ever since. And then TJ I've known since like I think my freshman year. I was on the scout football team, getting my butt beat by TJ, this guy right here. And then just kind of had a relationship with him ever since because he played my position, and then they actually had a terrible season the season before us, and then we were able to take over and make it to the state championship, 13-0 undefeated, and then unfortunately lost it. But we had a solid group of guys, solid team, solid everything really, and then just a couple bad plays, a couple bad decisions in the state championship, and one thing led to another. We couldn't finish it. So
I got a question for you. What do you think our class was missing?
you guys didn't have the team bonding like we did, definitely. Like you guys were like kind of up in the air. You guys kind of were like la 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 about the whole season, but I feel like throughout our whole season we were like super locked in. Everybody knew that we wanted it, and then it was kind of like a team goal where we're gonna get there, and then unfortunately we got there and just couldn't finish it.
You agree with that, Miles?
I mean, I think our grade was pretty tight.
I think we were tight, but like sometimes we were tight. Like we were a bunch of trolls. Our whole team was trolls.
I mean, we were like every game we were talking so much, like on social media, and then we would get there, like that's all we would do. We would just like talk so much during the game.
And if you think about it, like we had like 8 dudes play college, or at least that were planning on playing college, and then a couple more that probably could have. Plus, they also did switch offenses. They ran the Joe Montana offense this year.
Yeah, that offense was gross.
That offense did help us a lot, but definitely you guys didn't have guys showing up to practice, and like they didn't have the commitment like we did. Like everybody wanted it after like our football camp. We had an instructor come in and like train us, and we were just getting wrecked, like after another, and it was kind of like hard work eventually did pay off, but like I've been saying, we just couldn't get it finished.
What was that what was that overnight thing like?
Yeah, that was our big camp thing. So we had like a military drill instructor dude come in, and he was hard on us, man. Like we were doing 100 jumping jacks. If one guy didn't do a perfect jumping jack, another 100. And then they were doing push-ups, and then they had us do this military swimming test, and it was a lot of hard work for team bonding. So if your brother went down, you had to help him back up, or you both had to redo it, which was like a big team bonding thing where we all have to have this same goal, or we're not gonna get to where we want to be.
Yeah.
Let's talk about goals with the podcast. Me and Miles tried to start this podcast last year. I didn't know that you couldn't just show up with a camera with no microphone.
Yeah.
So microphone's not even plugged in. I didn't know all that. I was still kind of getting the camera stuff. So like I said, our 3 pillars: business, creativity, and I'd say like lifting people up. I'd say positivity, I think is what the word we said. Like, what are you guys' goals with the podcast?
I mean, I think our goal is just like have good guests on that kind of just have like a common goal. To be honest, I mean, I really like this podcast. I think it could be really chill, just like kind of talk about everything. I don't really know. I think it can go really far. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think my main goal is just to show like we're really just some average dudes that had decided to have a dream and a goal, and just thought this would be kind of fun to mess around with and see where it goes. But like if it does eventually end up taking off, I think that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I think we know some like cool people. Like we already have a bunch of guest ideas. We'll start. We're trying to go like one. My goal is like podcast every Tuesday drops. What's today? Today's Saturday. So we're filming Saturday right now. Try to get up by Tuesday. Try to grow our social media, and then hopefully with guests, we're lucky. We know like we got Cedric behind the camera who plays at North Dakota State. We have a friend named Jonathan who we want to hope again on the podcast, who played for the Gophers, now plays for Winona State. Charlie Stramel is going to get drafted in the NHL. But besides sports, like me and Miles talk about not making our identity. We got a lot of people who we know, business minds, and I think there's like an exception that you can't be successful when you're young, or you have to work a 9-to-5 job. I remember I was in my class all this year, and they were talking about, you go to job fair, get your job, work for Geico, go home and just be average dude. Like, I don't know. I think that's part of all our goals is not have to. If we work 9 to 5, it's you make really good money and you get to like be your own boss. You guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Definitely for me, it's not really the money thing. It's just I want to find something that like truly makes me happy, and I don't want to be stuck sitting behind a screen all day, not getting exercise, not getting active, and then just fall into that cycle of same thing every day, and then you finally hit like 30, 40, and you're like, what did I do with my whole life? Like, what was my purpose? I don't even know what I just did the past 20 years of my life. What am I doing? So I don't want to get to that point. I want to find something that truly makes me happy. And like this, if this took off, I could do this the rest of my life easy with a good group of dudes, keep getting cool dudes on, and a bunch of guys talking about being successful and like creating the idea of success is definitely my goal and mission, I guess.
I mean, for me, it definitely is about the money. I think I've been money driven, like just like kind of forever. I mean, yeah. I mean, my common goal is just like generational wealth, and like in my family that I just kind of want to be that guy to kind of start that generational wealth throughout like the Townsend name.
I'd say that's how I've been thinking lately. When I first started, I got one of the cameras we're using. I still have it. We went and filmed. You remember when we went and filmed in Apple Valley? It was like us and like 8 dudes. I had no clue how to use the camera. But like I sent everyone the videos and pictures I got, and they were like, "Wow, this shit's tough." It was not tough at all. They were I look back at them, they were terrible. But like just having that motivation, then I started doing it for Rosemount basketball, because my junior year JV and varsity were split up because of COVID, so I got to do the varsity games because I was ass at basketball my junior year. So I got to film or take pictures mostly for them, and then I kind of got a little bit better, got a different camera, and then I started doing Rosemount baseball. And then I tore my knee. I did a Rosemount football when we played Prior Lake. Lost on a heartbreak. But, like, I remember that like, people from other schools were commenting on that video. And looking back, it's probably the worst video ever. But, like, everyone was like, wow, this is amazing. So I was like, all right, let me keep doing this. Got to college. Got a job for my school. Did it for basketball. Just basketball, really, because we didn't have, like, a hockey team or anything. And then when I was home for winter break, I filmed the Gophers hockey and basketball. And then, like I said, like I started talking to their staff, so I'll get to do that next year. So I think, like Jonas said, like once you find something you like, when I have a camera, I don't feel like I'm working. I can make $0 or I can make $10,000 on a video, and I honestly wouldn't. Obviously, when I get older, I probably want to make some money and support my family, but it's kind of a mixture. I feel like I'm in between these two because I want to have generational wealth, but I want to do something I always want to do. Like I want to feel like I'm not working, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's a big thing that a lot of people struggle with is like, especially nowadays, everything's so expensive. You want to be successful and rich and like have the nicest things, but ultimately you have to be happy in whatever you do, and like it can't just be about money, like Miles was saying, but you have to have a balance, like TJ was saying. You have to be happy and enjoy what you're doing, but also make that good money so you can set up your future generations and have a good name for yourself when you ultimately pass away.
And I feel like for me, like as you get older, like I don't know, I have pretty supportive parents. I've met both your parents. Like we all have supportive parents, but sometimes like it feels good to buy yourself a pair of shoes and not have to ask your mom. Yeah, it's like, dang, I'm about to be 19 years old. Like I don't want to have to ask my mom for some shoes, or I want to be able to go get food with someone, pick someone up for breakfast, and be able to pay for them and not use my mom's credit card. Like obviously, my parents still support me a lot because playing college football like Miles, like we don't have a lot of time like we did. So now as I start to have more time this summer, I really want to be able to. Like, I don't need to buy myself a new car at 18, but I want to be able to get the little things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, like, for me, it's, like buying a new car isn't really, like, kind of that, like, short-term goal for me. I'm planning on just paying off my car right now. I'm going to keep that for, like, years on years, just kind of just wear it out and just use money towards something else, kind of scale my brand and, like, my business by myself. I think, like, money-wise, like, talking about like your parents, like I love when my parents are like, where'd you get that money from? Because like it's something like I'm really passionate about. Like options trading is something I'm really passionate about, like just studying like these stocks all day every day and then getting up at 8 a.m. and just like trading for like 3 to 4 hours and then you're done for the day. And like right now I'm still like working a part-time job, but that part-time job is also funding my side businesses. So
talk about how you got into stocks. Like, I know I just got an app where I look at it, but I'm so confused, like, what to even do. So talk about how you, like, figure that out.
Yeah, so when I've always wanted to do stocks, but you couldn't do it until you're 18. So right when I turned 18, I got a Robinhood account, and I just started kind of putting money into kind of just, like, stupid stocks, almost kind of gambling a little bit. And then when I came upon options trading, when I saw the money that you can make in there, if you can really, like, study the stocks and study the patterns, I dove into that, got my research in. And then, I mean, it's really good money, but it also has, like, a really high risk. I started doing that probably fall of my junior year, I think. and I kind of took off from there. I think when I first knew that like this could really take off is when we were at I think it was the girls soccer championship, and we were on the way to the light rail, and I think I made like $1,200 on the light rail that day off of like $100. And that day I was like I got to do this. Like I can like use this money to start just scaling my profits from there. And that's what I've done so far, and it's been really, really good. I've made a lot of money. I've also lost a lot of money, but you just kind of got to know that, like, the money that you put in is you got to be okay with losing that money at any time. And, like, there's also days where you lose $500+, but you just got to go keep doing it the next day. You can't just stop there or that's it for you. Like, you just got to keep going. And so I think it's a really hard job. That you can't really have much emotion about it. You can't be excited on these wins because also at the same time you can take really big hits the next day. So yeah, I think it's really fun. I also like just sitting in my room by myself, just kind of airplaying like the stocks on the TV, doing trading view and stuff like that. I love studying these stocks. It's something I'm really passionate about. So yeah, I think it's really fun for me.
One thing like I've been getting really into is like taxes. Like in school, I know like I really struggled in school. Like me and Miles kind of had the same struggles where like we would be sitting in math class with Mr. Nelson, shout out Mr. Nelson. I was like, what does this graph have to do with me?
Anything.
Like obviously there's some people like doctors and them who need that and it helps them. And like I was a good student at times and I was a really bad student at times. But like one thing I've been getting into is like taxes and stuff. Cause I remember I got my first like W-2 form or like when you freelance, you get a tax form. And the first time I got it, I'm looking at like, I don't know what tax bracket I'm in. I don't know any of this. So I think like I want to be able to inform people about that. Like I remember I did a job, I got $600 and I was like, all right, that's cool. But then he gave me a travel expense report. And it was like, I was like, I didn't know I get $20 of their money to get lunch. I didn't know that like I drove like 250 miles. So I got, I think it's 62 cents a mile you get. So I was like, wow, it didn't cost me $260 to fill my tank. And that's how much I got. So trying to inform people about that, where this can be another way of education. Like, I don't know. How do you guys feel about the school system, I guess?
I mean, for me, I mean, I've raging ADHD. So, I mean, when I'm not focused on something, that's it. I mean, I'm looking out the window, I'm doing anything else but what I'm supposed to be doing. So, I mean, the school system, I mean, we are in public schools, so you kind of just get what you get. But I think I kind of struggled through my high school just because I wasn't really passionate about it. I knew that like school wasn't really for me, which I'm still in school, but yeah, I kind of knew what my goals were, and when I knew my goals, I wasn't letting anything get in the way. So even throughout school, I would skip out homework to do other stuff, skip out homework to go work out or like study stocks and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Brought up a good point. Let's talk about the title of the podcast, ADHD Podcast. I've never been prescribed for ADHD, but like Miles said, like I would be sitting, like when we did Zoom for school, I'd be sitting on Zoom. Next thing I know, I'm in my kitchen and I can hear my teacher downstairs, and I'm like, what just happened? So that's kind of, I think ADHD is a good word to use for the podcast. My idea was that this podcast could literally be anything. ADHD, your mind's everywhere. So that was me and Miles' idea for the podcast. When we tried to do it last year, and that's the same thing. So it's not we're not doctors. We're not going to talk about ADHD and stuff like that. But we could talk about sports. We can talk about money, like our 3 pillars. But then kind of anything can happen. We might have a random old guy join our podcast. I don't know. Have some dads on here. Just do whatever. So, but like you were talking about with school, do you think college is different? Like, did you do better in college? For me, like high school, I had like under a 3.0 GPA. College, I had a 3.8 just because, like, I did a bunch of online classes. I could do it with the football schedule. Like, I don't know. It felt way more easier for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I wasn't taking those, like, stupid classes. And also, like, in high school, you have these small 5-point assignments that all add up. And you would have to do, like, 3 assignments a night. And, I mean, for me, like, looking back during that time, I would be like, this isn't going to amount to anything through my grade. But it did. For college, I mean, you have these huge assignments, and that's it. And it's kind of like smaller assignments. And also, like, when I wanted to do econ, like I'm starting to get into econ classes, and I mean that's something I'm passionate about, so I'm a little more interested in it. and that also helped with my grades for sure.
Yeah, kind of going off like what you said about high school and what you guys were talking about school is it's hard to focus when you don't have like a passion for what you're doing. And I think in school it's like a lot of busy work assignments. I don't think that they really focus on things that could really matter in life. I feel like they teach a lot of like whatever they want, like the smaller 5-point assignments that really don't mean anything. It's kind of just busy work. And another thing with like the ADHD thing, it may not be even ADHD. It's just it's hard to focus on something when you know it really doesn't matter and you don't have a passion for it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's like the biggest thing with me is like that's when I realized that I didn't want to like just get a job in something I didn't want to do my whole life, was because then I have no purpose, because I can't focus on that if that's not what I love to do and I don't have a passion for it.
For sure.
Yeah, I think like for me in college, when I found out I could take a class, like I had a class where I had 3 assignments and one of them was making a documentary. Obviously, I'm gonna get an A in that class, or hopefully, because that's something I love. Now, my intro to stats class that you have to do, I'm not gonna do as good because I'm not as interested. So I think, like Jonas said, finding your purpose. I think that's a big thing I want to talk about, because I think some people go through life. I think you have to look for your purpose. Like I don't know. Like my grandpa always told me that you got to lay down at night, close your head, and you got to write down like your 3 dream jobs. Think for like 30 minutes, because a lot of times what we think our purpose is, or what we think other people around us are doing, like everyone's getting a 9-to-5 job. That doesn't mean you have to get a 9-to-5 job. Everyone's like, I don't know, for me and Miles, like I saw everyone going to play college football. I was like, all right,
yeah,
I'm good enough to go play college football. Why not go play college football? I went to like a small school where instead I could have, been doing my camera stuff at like a bigger school. So I think a lot of the time we're like always trying to fit in.
Yeah.
So
Sure. And I mean, also like in high school, like our purpose was football pretty much. That's all we were kind of known about, and that was our identity. And I mean, I have purpose tattooed on my leg. I think purpose is just, if you are able to like find God's purpose for you on earth, that's just like the ultimate goal to happiness. I've had times where I've lost my purpose, and it's just, you kind of just spiral into a deep hole for sure. Once you can get out, and you can also, like for me, like my faith is something that I'm really strong in. It also helps me with my mental health a lot. That kind of helps me also find my purpose for sure.
Yeah, going along with what you guys were saying about like being a boy that wants to play like college football, I think a big thing is like it's every little boy's dream. It's to like make it to the league, play in the NFL, biggest stage ever. It's like a push for young men to like, that's my mission, is I want to be so successful. I want to play in the league. I want to do this, this, and this. But it's really all about finding your purpose and what you enjoy and what you love to do.
I don't know, like for Miles, like I remember like the first time like college game, like I think you always want to do it. You always want to keep going because you're like, that's what little kid version of me wanted to do. But then you get there and you're like, it's just football. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
like it's cool. Like when you're playing, like I don't know, we got to play in some cool environments. Like my school wasn't a huge school, but still like scholarship football, and we still got to play like good people. But you were like, at the end of the day, it's still football. Like I think my love for football kind of started to end like senior year when I got hurt, and I just kept going because like that's what everyone does. So I think when you start to find your actual purpose, then you realize that you can take a step back from what everyone else thinks you want to do.
I think also like my first year of football in college, it was a big shift. I think high school football really practiced like team camaraderie a lot. And I think when we got into college, it was more like everybody's kind of playing for themselves. Everyone's kind of playing, if they can transfer up, that's what they want to do. And so for me, I just kind of felt like everybody was kind of playing for themselves. Even when like someone makes a big play, they're celebrating by themselves. There's no like kind of team camaraderie anymore.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely a culture shock. Like first day, we put in the pads. I remember I didn't get one team rep, and I was like, I don't know anything. So we had our schedule. I don't know how yours was. Our schedule was wake up pretty early, meeting, lift, practice, meeting, dinner, and then meeting. And the practice wasn't that bad. It's only one practice, like high school practice. But like the meetings, my head would be about to explode. And then as the year went on, I remember I'd be in the meetings, and all I could think about is making a cool video for the basketball game. And I love my O-line coach. I think he's one of the best O-line coaches in the country. But he would like ask me something, and I would be like, yeah, I don't know what we're talking about. I'm just trying to make this video. So, and I think another part about like finding your purpose is having people that accept you. It makes it 100 times easier. I remember I walked into my coach's office. I told him like what was happening, and I thought they were gonna be mad. We're losing our linemen. We don't have that many linemen, and they were like, "Yeah, like we'll keep you on scholarship or whatever, and you got to do what you got to do. And I remember my online coach told me, like at the end of the day, it's just a sport. Like it's just football. Like this their full-time job. So I really want this podcast to be about like finding your purpose. So
now we're going to be transitioning from what we think purpose is to talking about our purpose for the next coming months and years ahead of us. I can start it, and then you guys can take over after I'm done. So definitely my major purpose is God put me on this earth for a reason. Obviously, spread the gospel, spread my relationship with Him. Obviously, leave a positive influence on this earth, and just bring people closer to Christ while growing my relationship with Christ. I'm not perfect. I can't be perfect. The only perfect man was Jesus. That's definitely my purpose, is to be as close to perfect as I can, and help others get there as well. So a big thing I want to do is spread a positive influence, and then obviously my purpose in like the career aspect of it is start my business, grow from there, expand, and then maybe sell and get into real estate, and then kind of live off a passive lifestyle while not technically working, but I'm still having an income from all the passive sources that I have. So that way I can kind of travel the world, start a family, and see all the places I want to see and be at the places I want to be at. So my goal is to not have to work a 9 to 5 and be stuck in the cycle of what am I doing? What is my purpose in life? I want to be financially free, happy, be able to do the things I want to do and travel and like meet new people, and just spread the love of Jesus Christ. And then obviously pass away one day. So
Wow, that's your purpose? Pass away.
all right,
that's not my purpose, but obviously we all die one day, and I want to leave a positive influence in the world. So
for sure. Yeah, I think also like going off what you're saying about like faith, I think that's like one of my really big goals this year is just kind of grow a stronger relationship with God. Just kind of grow in my faith, just be like a faithful servant, especially like even when your life shifts and stuff is going your way and God's giving you these blessings, just like keep that relationship with God and don't take that for granted, especially. Just kind of like grow relationship and also like not be only praying when you're asking for something and asking for blessings. You just got to keep growing that relationship with God and kind of just having those one-on-one conversations by yourself. I know that I started like daily devotionals, which has really helped me a lot. I always pray before my daily devotionals, and usually they kind of line up with something that I need that day or even that week. So I think that's one of my things. Also, like just make as much money as possible this year. Yeah, I think that's pretty much my common goal. Also, I wanna just travel to like make content. That's what my goal is. After I get this like skydiving license, I just want to make a content like that. I'm for sure like an adrenaline junkie, so I just kind of want to show the world that and just like show the world like what I'm passionate about.
building off that, like, I realized, like, as you got to college, like, your faith, like, it's really hard to keep your faith. Because I remember, like, in high school, I would try to, do a devotion or something. But in college, it's so different because, like, you wake up and your roommate's right there and you're, like, you just always feel judged. And I think my, like, spreading the word, getting back into spreading the word. And I realized, like, senior year, like, we all did, like, a Bible study for high school. And then I was realized, like, you think you know the Bible, you go to Bible school, you go to church and all that, but, like, I'll be listening to some people talk, or I'll be listening to a sermon, I'll be like, this dude knows the Bible. Like, he can think of 20 verses, if he's talking about something specific, he can find a verse that fits that. And I was like, I want to get to that. I'm nowhere near perfect, but, like, I started doing, it's a 52-week, like, just restart for the Bible for men. Like, starts from the start, and 52 weeks. So, like, I just started my first week, and I didn't understand how it worked at first, so I did the whole first week in a day. But then I, like, read through it and started, like, my goal, I think, for this year is to really learn the word and then use it appropriately. Like, because, like Miles said, like, not just praying when you need something. All right, I need $500. Lord, please pray for my business. Like, Lord, like, I'm doing good. Keep helping me. And so just building off of, like, learning the Bible and then really, like, what it means. And then I think once you start to learn what's in it and learn what it really means, your life just gets a whole lot better.
Do you guys want to share just a couple goals you have for yourself in the next coming years?
I think for me, like, business wise is just, like, get really, like, known. Like, everyone in Minnesota, like, knows when I show up, like, who I am. Because some of the guys I look up to, like Kobe Bohr, and a lot of the Gopher guys I'll be working with, like, whenever I would see them walk into an event, like, I would be like, that's Kobe or that's whoever that is. So I want me to walk into something with a camera or even without a camera and people know me. But also people know me for being a good person, because I think if you walk into a place and someone's like, that guy's an asshole or that guy's a jerk, then they just know you for the wrong reason. So I think you have to make people know you for the right reason, and then just kind of grow my business and whatever God has planned for me.
Yeah. I think like another one for me is just like kind of spread love. I mean, I think there's like in this world like that we live in right now, there's just a lot of hate. And I think just like spreading love and just kind of like thinking before, like if you have a reaction towards another person, like thinking like what they're going through in their personal life for sure. And kind of just being nice to everybody, even though like if they're in the wrong anyways. Just kind of being nice to my person. I remember I was at the gym, and I think Tom Ko, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. He came up to me. He was helping me re-rack my rates, and this was right after I moved back from college, and my faith wasn't as strong as it used to be. And he was just like, "How is your faith?" And I kind of just pretty much lied to him. I was like, "My faith's doing really good," and stuff like that. But when I got out of the gym, that was a big shift for me. I kind of thought about it a lot, and I was like, I'm really doing the bare minimum right now. And so after that, it kind of opened my eyes a lot to that I'm really doing the bare minimum. I really need to try harder with my faith. And I think since then, like I've been just ultimately really happy with life. Waking up every day, that's a blessing. Going to bed and thanking God for all the blessings that he's blessed me with, and that I hope that like the next day I get to wake up with those same blessings.
Yeah, a big thing like you guys were saying is obviously having goals for yourself is a big thing. Like we're never going to be perfect, so constantly working towards whatever you want to do is the biggest thing. It's not the destination, it's how you get to the destination that ultimately defines who you are as a person. And definitely a big goal for myself is obviously to be better in the gym, be a healthier person, obviously look better, but that's not the main thing. Looking better is just feeling better overall as a person. And setting goals for yourself really allows you to become what you strive to be, and you can't do that without making those huge landmark goals for yourself.
And one thing, like I think when I got to college, one thing I learned from, like I feel in high school, sometimes people feel like it's cool to like be better than people. Like we're all in like popular groups, or we're athletes, and it's like cool to be a person like that is above people. And I think when I got to college, I realized that there's no point of trying to be above people. Like, so if I could go back in time, like in high school, like I think I did a good job of like talking to people that I may have not necessarily knew, but like making sure everyone knew who I was, but not for the wrong reason. So I think that's kind of one of my goals, is to lift people up, and like anytime I mention them in a conversation that's positive. Obviously not everyone can like you. You can't force people to like you, but at least at the bare minimum, like be like, yeah, that guy's a positive person. So what do you guys think in high school sometimes that's how it
I mean,
it is?
my mom always told me like smile at somebody that doesn't usually get smiled at, and I think I kind of rode with that since probably middle school. And that's just kind of always how I've always been. I remember like even when I was in elementary school, my goal was to be invited to everybody's birthday parties. And I mean, it's a stupid goal, but at the end of the day, when you get to high school, it's like just like have that. You got to try to be that person that everybody kind of loves, and like everybody just loves, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard balance to find, because at the end of the day, you can't like everybody. I mean, obviously you still need to love everyone, but there's just those people that you're just not going to totally agree with, and like everybody has different beliefs and morals. If you don't agree with what someone's doing, you obviously can't be super close to that person, but you can still love them from a distance. So I think the biggest thing is still loving everyone and being positive towards them, but you can ultimately disagree with what they're doing at the end of the day. And you can not choose to follow that person, but you can still love them from a distance. So that's a big thing that I've had to learn, is not everyone has to like me. I'm not perfect. I've done stupid things. And a big thing for me is like, how do I become an example while still being imperfect? So how do I make others see that I'm an imperfect man, but I'm striving to be the best I can be, is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think I remember talking about this in my political science class. I think like these days, especially like in politics is becoming like part of an identity for everybody. And it's like if you don't line up with your personal politics, like some people are just like, we're not, that's it. Yeah. Like we're not going to continue this journey together. And so I think we just got to stem away from that. I think I believe in a lot of conspiracy theories about the government and stuff like that, but just kind of I think like just believing in that two-party system and using that to differentiate who you hang out with I think it's just totally stupid. I think that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with it. I think like everything is politicized now, and I think it's kind of just stupid. All that stuff is kind of just who runs this, who runs that. I'm not really with that. It's kind of a lesser of the two evils. Who do I agree with more? Who's going to stand up for me? Who's going to fight for me in that political position? I don't choose a side necessarily, like a lot of people do, and I think everything is way over politicized. Like if you disagree with someone in our society right now, if you have different beliefs or like if you disagree, there's like a lot of hatred and just nastiness toward that other person that shouldn't be there. So I think that's definitely a big thing that we as like a youth could change by like showing love to everyone regardless of their situation, because everybody goes through like something, and you don't know what somebody's going through at the end of the day. So you always have to look out and be loving toward that person while you can disagree with what they're doing. So it's a balance in life. You can't be perfect in every situation, so you kind of have to pick and choose your battles.
I think also like a lot of people kind of duck conversations that they don't want to have, especially if you're on the opposite side of like the political view from the other person. And I love doing that. I mean, if you're able to just have a mature conversation and not attack someone personally, I love picking people's brains and like seeing what their kind of side of the view is, and I just kind of try to be as empathetic as possible and see where they're coming from.
Let's do a little transition into fitness, because we want to talk about that.
Yep.
Like I said earlier, fitness. Right now I want to cut. Miles on a cut. Miles like trying to help me out because like I said, when I got to college, I was 220 pounds and I was playing offensive line, and like I don't think we had a starter under like 290. So my goal, if I would have stayed there for like the 4 or 5 years, was to be like 300, and I got to like 265, 268 was like I think the last day. And I still felt good, but like it was just weird, like eating 6,000 calories, 7,000 calories a day. Or second I got out of our lift, my strength coach would make sure I went and had a bunch of calories. So I think it's definitely like I always said like that once I'm done playing football, I can lose the weight really quickly, but it's actually harder because now I can't just go eat whatever I want. I can't go to the calf. I can't go to McDonald's and get 3 McChickens. Like I got to be careful. So Miles, you want to talk about like what your diet is right now and your similar story with football weight?
Yeah. So my peak bulk I think was in probably February, and I think I was 240 in February, and now I'm down to 205. And right when I moved back, I just started cutting like crazy. I stepped up my cardio, stepped up my abs. I really just felt like shit, to be honest, like especially eating like those 6,000 calories. I think that's just absolutely crazy. And I remember like looking in the mirror and I was like, wow, like I look like shit. And I knew that summer was coming up, and that's not how I wanted to look, especially being on the boat and stuff like that. And so I stepped it up like just right away. I started 2-a-days from the jump. Now I moved down to once a day, but the cut's been really good. I think when you can get past probably that 10-day mark of just not eating as much as you used to, when you can get through that resistance mark, it's just a breeze from there.
Talk about your diet, like just explain your diet and how it works.
Okay, so I mean it's kind of crazy, but I'm on a calorie deficit, also intermittent fasting. So I only eat I think probably for an hour a day, and then I'm only eating 1,500 calories, mostly protein. Try to limit the fats, also the carbs. So right now I'm pretty much just eating chicken and rice, steak and rice. I eat a lot of beef. I think it's like 7% fat. Those are kind of like the cheat codes for me. I've definitely cut down on the snacking. I think that's most of the reason I gained so much weight is all the snacking with like so many calories. And it's just like crazy. Like I could go through a box of Cheez-Its like in an hour and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we're just not going to talk about those watermelon Sour Patch Kids you ate before this?
No, we're not going to talk about that.
All right.
No, but my cut's been really good. I think I'm probably mid-cut right now, and I'm just feeling really good. I think my mental health has just like been really, really good so far. Like looking in the mirror, and I know I'm not where I'm at, like where I want to be at, but still looking good at the same time, and also knowing that, I mean, for me, I kind of like punish myself. If I'm not doing an hour of cardio a day, then I'm cutting down my eating for that day.
Johnny, you want to talk about like me and you had like similar high school football stories. Like we were offensive linemen, and I remember Coach Urban and Coach Myers and Coach Pauly at the time would always be like, "You gotta get bigger," and I was like, "Why? Like I'm still strong. I can still move these D linemen. Like why do I have to be big?" I kind of understood it as I got to college. I was like, all right, if I was 260 in high school, I feel like I could have been on a whole different level. But talk about how kind of relate to that.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was I was always kind of like a chubbier kid growing up, and then so getting to high school and playing football, I was trying to find that perfect balance of the weight I wanted to be at, the strength I wanted to be at. And the hardest thing for me was I was trying to play D-line, so I wanted to be skinny so I could be somewhat fast. So then I cut down a bunch of weight, but then I lost all my muscle mass. I wasn't strong. I was just semi-quick, and I didn't have any strength to me. So then I went on a crazy bulk, and then I just ended up getting really big, and then that's when I started kind of playing more, and then I kind of fell in love with working out in the gym, and then so I'm not focused on as much appearance right now as I am like strength. I'm trying to get my numbers up. So the biggest thing for me was trying to find that balance of like staying fit while also trying to put on my size. And I think the big thing for me right now is I'm not so worried about my appearance. I just want to build the muscle mass under, and then eventually later on in life I'll cut down. But it was kind of hard to find that balance because when you want to put on muscle mass, you have to put on a little fat. Like you got to eat the calories, you got to put on the work, you got to be consistent in the gym, eating that protein, hiking them calories up. You have to eat so much food to put on the size you want to put on. And I always hated it just because I always hated the way I looked. I always wanted to be shredded and skinny, but just to be at where I wanted to be at, it just didn't fit my goals. So I had to make sacrifices and look the way I look right now so I can gain that muscle mass. And then in the future, obviously look the way I want to look after I cut down. So it was always a struggle for me, but
I think personally bulking is way harder than cutting too. Like just like having to force feed and eating. Like I think I was eating probably 5 to 6 times a day. I mean, I think it kind of caught up to me where I was like, I don't want to eat this food, and I'm like kind of just gagging it down and stuff like that.
And then you take a look in the mirror after you eat, and you're like, whoa, I am fat
100%.
right now.
For me, like when I got to college,
0%.
like those first 20 pounds were so easy because I could just eat whatever.
Yeah.
But then it was like, because once you get that 20 pounds, now you have to eat that many calories plus another 2,000. I was like, there were some days where I would be like, I can't do this. Like I'm not eating this many calories. But how it translates to like, for me being on cut now is I feel like while I'm not playing a sport, it gives me something to like be a competitive at. Like, it's like how much weight can I lose in a certain amount of time, and if not, like Miles said, like almost like punishing yourself. I've always hated cardio. I've always liked short sprinting because that's what you do as an athlete. I hate cardio. I think with ADHD too, like I get bored when I'm doing cardio.
Sure, bro.
So I have to do a podcast, or I have to do something, or because like lifting is the fun part, like bench or squat, whatever. So yeah, I think as an athlete, when you're done with sports, transitioning into something that's competitive.
Do you think that freshman 15 was for real?
For me, it was freshman 50. Like,
oh my god, bro, it was crazy.
Big boy.
Well, I mean, right when you like get in there and you see that you got the calf and you got unlimited meals and like
St. Olaf has like a really really good calf, right?
Yeah, they got a really good calf and like their food was really good. They got we have a lot of international students, so I mean the international food is just so gas.
Yeah, see, shout out SMSU, but our calf was probably the worst cafeteria in the nation. Like any college, like I would send pictures to my parents. My parents would be like, "Why are you at Caribou for breakfast and you're out to eat for dinner?" I'd be like, "Dude, I'll send you a picture. Like it's patty melts that are 2 days old." Like shout out to SMSU because I was just not eating the calf. Like when I got there, I thought it was awesome. I was like burgers.
Yeah.
The
first 2 weeks.
Yeah, ice cream machine. I was like, wow, this is lit. And like we would eat as a team. Their team dinners would be in the cast for fall camp. Coach would make sure I had like 7 plates. Yep. So yeah, I gained the weight really fast, but I felt really strong. Like college weight room is just different. Like our strength coach that's his full-time job. All he does is football, and like we weigh in every Friday, and he's making sure like if I didn't. One time I told our strength coach Ben I gained 5 pounds in a week, and he just looked at me. He's like, "Cool, like you got to gain more." I was like, "All right." If I did that in high school, it'd be like everyone would be flaunting over me. So like it's their full time job, and they're like dedicated to you gaining weight. So I think it was a little bit easier for me. I don't think I put on fat. I don't like how I look right now at all. But like I never felt like it couldn't move. I thought so. Yeah. So next transition is we're going to talk about our every episode we're gonna try to do, like, if we have a guest, we'll do a rapid fire Q&A with them. But we're gonna talk about our top 3 albums, as Miles said, that we would take to the grave.
Should we go one at a time?
Yeah.
Just like one album at a time?
Yeah, let's just do our list. Let's do one list. I'll start with my list because people are not going to agree with it. You'll agree with the first 2. I was looking at like old rap, but I don't know. So my first one was My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Twisted Fantasy by Kanye. That's like a bunch of hype up songs like that you listen to at football growing up. And then J. Cole 2014 Forest Hills Drive. But then my third one is anything Garth Brooks. Johnny, you know anything about Garth Brooks?
I'm not a big Garth Brooks guy myself.
That's why I didn't. he's if you know country music, you know Garth Brooks. So anything by him. I have all his CDs that I would play when I was a kid, and then I'm a huge Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs fan, so I don't think they miss that often. But that's what I got.
So my 3 are, I got Morgan Wallen too. My list is kind of like diversified, so I got one thing at a time. I just kind of chose mine on like things I can listen to like front to back, like just shuffle the whole playlist, and I like all of them. So I'm a big Morgan Wallen fan. Gonna see him at WeFest in August. Then I also got 2014 Forest Hill Drive by J. Cole. He's probably my favorite rapper. I think he's one of the greatest rappers of all time. And then I also got Blonde by Frank Ocean. Gas Pack. I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh, I got a mix up here. I listen to just about everything. So my first album, I'm gonna go American Heartbreak, Zach Bryan. Definitely, he's got to be in there. And then, who else do I want? Maybe Savage Mode 2 by 21.
Yeah.
It's a good album. He doesn't miss on that album. And then, what else do I got? Let's go. Oh, any old Drake album. Views, More Life, demo tapes, anything like that.
Yeah.
One of those got to be in there for sure. And then any old rap like Biggie, Pac, any of them. I like the old rap, all that stuff.
I think like excluding like album wise, like unreleased Juice is like my top. Like
be banging that.
Oh my god, I got like a huge playlist of unreleased Juice, and I have a friend from Chicago, and it was an ego hit when I saw his unreleased Juice because he's got like those audio notes in his notes because he's from Chicago and Juice is from Chicago, so I bet he's got a lot of more vaulted Juice. But yeah, I think Juice WRLD is probably like my top artist for sure, especially his unreleased music.
And we're gonna talk about what we're gonna talk about, like
honorable mention song or
Guilty Pleasure.
Yeah, Guilty Pleasure
songs. Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna sound, I don't know how. Every morning, like how we've been talking about routines, is I've been trying to get up early. This morning, I'll be honest, I sucked. My alarm was set for 6, and I woke up at 10. I was like,
that's 4 hours late.
Yeah, my alarm, and my college roommate Matt, shout out, he's one of my best friends, but he would have to like yell at me that my alarm's going off. But anyway, I try to wake up, and I try to on the way that. After I like to do worship on the way, and then on the way back, straight Andy Grammer. I'm a huge.
What did he say?
I'm a huge Andy Grammer fan. Coach Chris Swanson, AP Psych. Did you take AP Psych, Jonah?
No, I'm in regular.
Okay, yeah. He walks AP Psych every day. All he would play is Andy Grammer.
What song though? Gotta keep your head up or what?
You gotta have. It's an honorable mention song. You gotta pick.
No, we're just. I just listen to Andy Grammer radio. Like, look.
Give me one song you know then.
Favorite song right now?
I'd say Gotta Keep Your Head Up or Save My Life. Him and...
You gotta keep your head up.
You know, Save My Life is one my mom sent me that I always listen to. But yeah, every morning, like, look, that's my top thing and my thing is Andy Grammer radio. And it's I don't know. I like Andy Grammer.
All right, mine's kind of crazy. Mine's Boyfriend by Big Time Rush. I can blast that shit on loop in the gym. I'm not even joking for the entire workout.
This is a crazy take. I don't listen to rap that much in the gym.
I don't either. I listen to that manic TikTok edit.
Yo, like Patrick Bateman edits and stuff like that. Rick
just like the funk music or whatever.
You ever listen to Morgan Wallen in the gym?
Nope. That's actually crazy.
I like Andy.
Morgan Wallen gets you dialed. Just
I don't need to get pumped up to like lift. Like I'm not a big pre-workout pump up guy. I'm just kind of in there. So
didn't you just not lifting till failure is what you're just simply not doing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I could lift honchos on Boyfriend on loop. I'm not gonna lie.
You guys are gonna clown me. Lainey Wilson, Heart Like a Truck.
I like that. Do you know that song?
I don't even know that
I like that song.
It's
Lainey Wilson is underrated.
It doesn't miss. It's just a headbanger. That's it. That's what it is. But back to the Andy Grammer, you're just like you're just weird.
You never listened to Andy Grammer?
That's like what, like 2010?
Was he on The Voice?
I don't even know. He sounds like a clown.
No,
to
that
me.
was Adam Levine. No, wait. Yeah, Adam Levine.
Andy Grammer is just the most like positive music. Chris Swanson, Coach Swanson, that's all he would listen to, like Andy Grammer radio, and that's all. And like I'm on the Andy Grammer radio. It has Morgan Wallen. Fine by Me by Andy Grammer is definitely one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't know. That's my kind of music. Like
That's crazy.
driving around with the windows down to like.
Oh, I got another one. Big Green Tractor. It bumps. I can't explain
That's a
it.
troll song.
It's like
I can't take this serious.
It's amazing. I can't explain it.
I could listen to Can I Have This Dance in High School Musical 3 as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Back to Zach Bryan. Have you ever seen him live?
Nah, not yet.
Shout
I
out!
want to.
I saw a video on TikTok where like, have you seen the snow video on TikTok?
No.
He's like performing in the snow. He's definitely up there in like top 3 albums, I'd say.
Oh yeah.
All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Wrapping up our first episode.
Last thing, shout out Ced behind the camera.
Shout out Cedric. He'll be a guest here upcoming. You can listen to this podcast. You can watch it on YouTube. Listen on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever else. I can get up. I gotta look at that stuff. But
And then make sure you follow Edmondson Media on Instagram.
Let's do it.
yep, awesome.
Is that a wrap on the first episode?
That's a wrap on the first episode. Let's get it.